Timing and spacing is the backbone for all animation, and if you don't understand these principles, it's going to be very difficult to make your animations look smooth. So timing has to do with how long an action takes to happen. So if we have a timeline here, and each one of these smaller lines represents a frame of animation, it will take our animation 8 frames to get across the screen. For this example, we're working at 8 frames per second, so it's going to take 1 second for the ball to travel from screen left to screen right. So what we can learn is smaller, lighter characters and objects take less time to move than bigger, heavier characters and objects. And this is important because when we're animating, we need to make sure that we're giving the appropriate amount of time for things to read. Too much movement in too short of a time is going to make your animation look fast and unclear. Spacing refers to how close or far each individual drawing is from each other. The closer we draw things, the slower they appear to move. We can use this principle to get some nice variation in the speed of our animation, and it also helps convey things like weight and power. For our first example, we have a ball moving at a constant speed. Each frame is relatively the same distance from one another. This gives us a very robotic and boring movement. For our next example, the ball is moving in a different way. The frames at the beginning are closer than the frames at the end, so this gives the feeling that the ball is accelerating as it starts to move. If we compare it to our previous example, we clearly see the second ball is being delayed. And if we do the same thing on the end, the ball appears to speed up and slow down before it comes to a stop. This is called easing in and easing out, and it makes our animations look less robotic and more believable. And did you notice we didn't change the timing for any of those 3 balls? It still took them 1 second to get from screen left to screen right. So I guess that shows us we can change the spacing without changing the timing, and we can change the timing without changing the spacing. Here's a simple example of a ball bouncing up and down. It slows at the start and speeds up as it hits the ground and rebounds. When it gets back to the top, it slows down again. Not only is this interesting to look at, but it gives us a sense of how heavy this ball is. And by simply changing the timing and the spacing, we can get a completely different ball. This one, for example, feels a lot heavier. We shortened the timing because heavier things fall faster, and we made the spacing at the top a lot closer together. That definitely feels heavier. Here are a few more complex examples. In this one, our character is throwing a punch. In order to get that powerful feeling, we drew our fist closer together during these frames, and then farther apart at the end. The result is a nice snappy punch. We can also do something more subtle, like with this character here. The drawings at the beginning are closer together than these drawings in the middle. And then the drawings at the end are barely moving at all. So although our character doesn't move a great distance, we can still feel the weight in his arms.